Here's your News 10 NBC First Alert weather now.
All is quiet now, but we are waiting on a little bit of snow and another punch of cold heading our way. So don't be surprised if you see the flakes flying this evening. They won't amount to much. Talk about how cold it is this weekend coming up.
We begin with breaking news. The Rochester City School Superintendent announces 2 staffing cuts following the district's $30 million budget shortfall. In an email sent out to all RCSD personnel, Superintendent Terry Dade says his 2 deputy superintendents, Dr. Elizabeth Massetti Miller and Dr. Cecilia Griffin Golden, were, quote, discontinued for reasons of economy and reorganization. Earlier this week, Dade discussed his plans to address the budget crisis, including a proposed 5% staff reduction in 2020.
High school students rushed out of class and evacuated onto waiting buses.
It happened at East Ridge in Irondequoit this morning after a threat was made that triggered the school to call 911. News 10 NBC investigative reporter Jennifer Lukey was at the school during the evacuation and joins us live now from Irondequoit. Jen?
The school district won't say what the threat was or how it was made, just that when they came across it, they called 911. Initially, they had students hold in place in their classrooms, but then they decided the safest option was to put them on buses and get them away from the school.
A threat. What does that mean? You know what I mean? So, of course, I'm thinking the worst.
I left right away, to come here.
Because imagine it's got to be very dramatic for these kids.
Worried parents and grandparents who received a robocall letting them know the school was being evacuated rushed to the parking lot of Culver Ridge Plaza, where students were brought to wait on buses while police and K-9 officers swept the school. After about 45 minutes, parents who showed up were able to take their kids home. Some of those students told me what the last few hours had been like for them.
It was just like a right into action moment. You just want to get on that bus and be safe, but it was like a lot of things happening at the moment. Everyone was so stressed out, nervous, scared.
But I'm like, this is something different, especially with the shooting that just happened in California. I'm like, okay, this can happen anywhere, anytime, and if it's my school, that's really, really scary. So I'm like, I'm just going to follow the directions. Hopefully I'll get home today.
Khadijah's grandmother, relieved and happy to see her.
But I was so glad to see her get off that bus, I'm telling you. Oh.
The school district won't say where the threat was discovered or how it was made, but police deemed the school safe a few hours after the evacuation.
The nature of the threat was one that we felt that it was better we were extremely cautious. I mean, we were just, the nature of the world today, I think erring on the side of caution is probably the best course that we could take, and that's what we decided to do.
No arrests have been made at this point, but Irondequoit police say the investigation is ongoing.
Anytime that there is a threat, there is a potential for criminal charges to be filed. We're going to be working through that, through the investigation, through the information learned from the school district, and then making determinations after we have gathered all the evidence.
Now, the school district tells me for students who had a hard time with this, there will be counselors here on Monday to talk about the incident or just to talk about school safety in general. In Irondequoit tonight, Jennifer Lukey, News 10 NBC.
Jen, thank you. Tonight, we're hearing from a Bishop Kearney High School graduate who lives in Santa Clarita near Thursday's mass shooting. She has children who attend an elementary school that was next to the high school shooting scene. Brian and Kate Menz have 7 children and live about a mile away from Saugus High School. Kate was about 500 feet from the school when she heard the news and saw the students evacuate. News 10 NBC spoke with her exclusively via FaceTime this afternoon.
I called my husband and told him that there was an active shooter at Saugus, and that we found out that the shooter had fled and gone up the hill to our kid elementary school. So I went straight to the elementary school to wait outside.
Menz says that her heart breaks for the victims, but she's relieved that they're safe. She says the school staff and law enforcement helped comfort them during a very scary time.
Republican leadership in the county legislature officially withdrew the controversial plan that would have limited the incoming county executive's powers. The bill would have given county Republicans almost veto power over dozens of people Bella was in a position to hire. But in a letter sent to the clerk of the legislature today, they said they are pulling the bill after feedback from the public and a conversation with County Executive-elect Adam Bella. Bello responded saying, quote, "I'm pleased with the decision by county legislature Republicans to withdraw their efforts to change the county charter. I believe this is the right decision and reflects the will of the community." Tonight, a News 10 NBC follow-up investigation.
It involves an 80-year-old state law and the picture of an 8-day-old baby. And it's a story Chief Investigative Reporter Berkeley Breen has been working on for you all year. Burke?
The law barred people who were adopted in New York from getting access to their original birth records. That law ended yesterday with the governor's signature, and maybe that will stop situations where people have virtually no information about how they came into this world.
That should be right about there. Yeah.
Karen Donahauer is helping her adopted father put a puzzle together at their home in Fairport. But this is the image I want you to look at. This is the only photo Karen has from when she was a baby. She was 8 days old, left at a foster home and put up for adoption. The state law that barred her from getting birth information left her with one photo. This week, Governor Andrew Cuomo signed a bill repealing that law.
It is emotional for me. I'm 53 years old, and I am finally being allowed to see my own birth certificate. And it doesn't sound like a big thing, but it's something that I have been barred by law for no real good reason from looking at.
The law goes back to the 1930s. This is part of the original Assembly bill. It was signed by Governor Herbert Lehman, who adopted a child from a notorious baby broker named Georgia Tan. The law made it impossible for anyone to know how Governor Lehman adopted his child. 80 years later, it made it impossible for Cameron Simpson in Rochester to learn the details of her birth. I spoke to her the first time I investigated this law, and I was at her kitchen table again today.
My mother that raised me was adopted as well, and she just located her biological family. And for her to get her birth certificate means a lot to her, and it's a lot to me too, you know, so.
After 20 years of searching for her biological family, this is emotional for Cameron, but she says these are tears of joy.
Mine was definitely a struggle for me, you know, and even at times now it can be, but I'm happy. Very happy.
The law takes effect in January. Original birth records of an adopted child will still be sealed until that child is 18. But then, by state law, that teenager can get them. Berkeley Breen, News 10, NBC.
All right, Burke, thanks. Let's get a quick check of your first alert forecast with meteorologist Stacy Pension.
And Stacy, the weekend is upon us. How's it looking?
You know, not too bad, but it is looking cold. That shouldn't be a surprise. 35 degrees here in Rochester right now, so we're above freezing. Honeyway Falls, 34. Bloomfield, below freezing at 31. Charlotte, 37. And Hilton, 35 degrees right now. We are dry, but what we're watching is this. That little line of precipitation, that is snow lining up along an Arctic front or just ahead of it, and that'll be pushing south really within the next hour or so, really half hour probably along the Lake Ontario shoreline. That's when we're going to start to see some of these snow showers working inland. It'll be a brief burst of snow. It won't last long, and it won't deliver very much, and it's behind the snow that I think is more impressive. Temperatures quickly dropping back through the 20s. Early tomorrow morning, we are waking up in the upper teens away from the Lake Ontario shoreline. We have one more record cold day in the forecast. We'll talk about when that arrives this weekend coming up.
All right, thanks so much. Flagging extreme risks in New York State. What it means to request an order of protection in connection with the state's new red flag law.
Plus, a new decision years after the murder of Craig Rideout. That story coming up. New York's red flag law was the topic of discussion this afternoon among judges, attorneys, and educators.
The Monroe County Bar Association's monthly educational gathering focused on the new law, which allows law enforcement, family members, and educators to ask a judge to seize firearms from people who the court deems at risk of hurting themselves or others. Educators say this law has some issues that have yet to be resolved, like privacy and protected speech. Mark Concordia is an associate professor at Roberts Wesleyan College and trains people to assess risky behavior. He says people have to be careful after incidents happen and not give in to hysteria.
It's a growing It's a good thing, though. We do want people to come forward, see something, say something, but at that point, then we have to have the methodologies in place to properly assess the information in a balanced method before we just act.
Concordia says nationwide figures have shown red flag laws help to reduce incidents of suicide.
Still ahead, Inside the Evidence tonight focuses on the co-conspirator in a double murder in Sodus.
Plus, Laura Rideout was convicted of murdering her estranged husband. Will she get another chance to plead her case? The answer next.
We are waiting on some evening snow showers and then one more punch of Arctic air when both arrive. Coming up.
News 10 NBC Sky Deck, brought to you by Home Power Systems.
The woman found guilty of killing her estranged husband in 2017 is denied an appeal of her murder conviction. Laura Rideout is currently serving 37 years to life in prison for the death of Craig Rideout of Penfield. Last month, her attorney argued she did not get a fair trial because she was tried together with her 2 sons and her boyfriend. The state Supreme Court's appellate division denied the appeal, concluding the evidence is sufficient to support the conviction, that she was not deprived of a fair trial, and the sentence is not unduly harsh or severe. All month, we've been taking you inside the evidence of a double murder in Sodus.
We told you about the mastermind and the convicted killer. New tonight, we focus on the conspirator. Here's Nikki Rudd with a story you'll only see on News 10 NBC.
Ron Bowler was a key witness in this case. While on duty in police uniform, he learned about a murder plot, never reported it, and even played a role in carrying it out.
And here you have this chief of police that he looked up to and his, pretty wife, and they were paying attention to him, and I believe that's how he got sucked in.
Ron and Tim Dean, the convicted killer, knew each other through law enforcement in Texas. Tim and his wife, Charlene Childers, talked Ron into renting a car for Tim to drive to Sodus, New York. That's where Tim would shoot and kill Josh Niles and Amber Washburn in October of 2018. But it didn't all go as planned. Evidence was left behind, and Ron would crack under pressure.
He did say he was going to go up there.
Go where?
To New York.
He told you he was going to New York?
Yes, sir.
For what purpose?
I'm trying to remember exactly how he put it. Okay, here's the thing.
The truth is simple. The simplest way.
Yes, sir.
It's the only way out.
I'm trying to remember.
It's the only way out is what we're telling you here.
Yes, sir.
It's the only way out right here.
Coming up tonight, how Braun played a key role in closing this case. Hear more of what he told investigators. Plus, the victims' families come face to face with the former police officer who could have stopped this double murder. That's tonight at 11. Nikki Rudd, News 10 NBC.
Now, your First Alert forecast with meteorologist Stacy Pension, featuring Rochester's only live local radar. First Alert Doppler 10, powered by AP Plumbing.
Well, we've had quite the week of wintry weather. Threat tracker is green as we head into the weekend, so we don't have any big snow that'll get in your way too much, but we do have a bit of cold coming our way. Early lake snow showers on Saturday. This is mainly off to the north, but we're still green. Sunday, record cold start. Still green. Monday, right now, I have us at green, but we could see a little bit of a wintry mix. Rain, some wet snow, even a little bit of ice is possible as we head into Monday. Something we're just keeping an eye on at this point. Record cold possible on Sunday. Forecast low right now, 10 degrees. The current record low is 15 from 1933, so that record could fall early Sunday morning. 48 degrees, our high temperature on average for today's date. Well below that for Saturday. We are in the 20s. Sunday, near freezing. Monday, we're in the mid-30s. And then we may have 3 days in a row, or at least come close to it, where we're in the 40s before dropping back again late week and into the weekend. And we're waiting on another cold punch of Arctic air. Right now, it's 35 in Rochester, 36 in Buffalo, 32 freezing in Peterborough, but it is 10 in Sudbury and 10 in North Bay. And that is the air that's coming our way. Canadian high pressure pushes this cold front south, and it's that cold front that is producing a few snow showers out over Lake Ontario. Now, this is lake enhanced. There's not much moisture associated with this, so most of the moisture is actually coming from Lake Ontario itself, and that's why you're not seeing anything that is too impressive, though I do expect some of this to build up a little more as we head into the next few hours. So a few snow showers, maybe a brief burst of snow, by 10, 11 o'clock, and that's what you're seeing here. That band settles south, though it does look a bit overdone. South into the Finger Lakes by 10 or 11 o'clock, and then we're done with it. A little bit of lake effect starts to flip around with a wind out of the northeast. This would impact especially northern Monroe County early Saturday. Then that's gone. We're stuck in the 20s, but we'll see a mostly sunny sky. Right now, we are seeing a mostly cloudy sky. 35 degrees at the airport, feels like 27 with a wind out of the west at 10. 18 back here tonight, so temperatures will begin to plummet as the Arctic front moves on through. That evening snow, a little more than a dusting, and then a little bit of lake effect early tomorrow morning. 27 degrees for your Saturday, 32 freezing on Sunday after starting near 10. 36 on Monday. That's the day we're watching for a little bit of a wintry mix. Could see a little ice, especially into the Finger Lakes. Tuesday, mixed showers, and then here come the 40s. Look at that, a few days in a row by the middle of next week. Speaking of next week, we're doing Winter Weather Week from Epic Lake Effect. Yes, we're talking about some big lake effect events to why sometimes forecasts can fizzle, especially in the winter and the winter outlook. All next week during News 10 NBC at 5. Brett?
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Stacy. A reminder, overnight and morning viewing of WHEC TV will be interrupted this weekend. In order to comply with FCC-mandated frequency changes, WHAM TV will be performing engineering work at its transmitter site. For safety reasons, WHEC and all other Rochester television stations will be going off the air on Saturday and Sunday from 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. Spectrum cable subscribers will still be able to watch WHEC. We apologize for the inconvenience.
Coming up, some of the best athletes in Section 5 make their college decision.
Plus, it's a fearless Friday for the Buffalo Bills. Hear why Josh Allen is extra confident. Next in sports.
Now, News 10 NBC Sports with Rich Donnelly.
We are officially in the era of fearless football for the Buffalo Bills. At least that's what Sean McDermott wants to see out of his team. On Wednesday, Josh Allen said McDermott told him to play fearless. Sunday in Miami will be our first chance to see what that looks like. With that said, the Bills could use a jolt of energy, especially on the offensive side of the ball. The Bills enter this week having lost 2 of their last 3 games and failed to score 20 points in both of their losses. Some may say the sky is falling. Josh Allen says otherwise.
I think I've been playing, very smart football the last few weeks, and I don't think that's going to change. I think I want to be smart with the football, and like I said, there's been opportunities that I haven't hit, and I got to be better on those. But we're 6-3 for a reason.
Cleveland Browns defensive end Myles Garrett is suspended indefinitely for his role in an on-field brawl last night. Garrett ripped the helmet off Steelers quarterback Mason Rudolph's head and hit him with it. 3 total players were suspended. More than $500,000 in fines have been levied. As for a sport that somewhat embraces fighting, the Amerks are home tonight against Cleveland. Rochester has earned at least a point in their last 3 home games. Face-off is set for 7 p.m. We'll let you know if the Amerks pull off back-to-back wins tonight at 11. And a big congratulations to these seniors from Honeoye Falls, Lima. They signed national letters of intent to continue their athletic careers in college. Winnie Hotchkiss and Mackenzie Camp each signed to play lacrosse in college. Winnie at Niagara, Mackenzie at Indianapolis. Anthony Noto will wrestle for the North Carolina State Wolfpack.
Great program, great coaches, and great weather. Great teammates. I went down there, and right when I went down there, I was like, oh, this is the college for me. I always been putting the work in. I see myself increase up the ladder, so I'm going to keep it going.
Speaking of high school sports, football regionals are going on right now in Brockport. We'll let you know which Section 5 teams advance at 11. We're back after this.
We thank you for making News 10 NBC your choice for news.
NBC Nightly News is coming up next. Have a great weekend.
Good night.